come so far to harbor life. Like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our stand.
You know who's a fun little muppet of anti-science to kick around? Pretty much everyone, really. But Russian Vids is a personal favorite of mine. I consider him to be something of an archetype of the conspiracist brain and way of thinking. His mind, poisoned by bad internet research, is so full of paranoia that everything he comes across is fake. It's fake before he's even looked into it, because look at it, it's obvious, it's very simple. His brain doesn't even think about what he looks at. A prime example of this will come in one of his latest videos, which starts off talking about Nibiru, of all things. You know Nibiru, right? The massive planet that nobody has ever seen with a telescope that's going to crash into Earth, meaning we would definitely see it coming, except we never have? Yeah, that. Alright everyone, get your popcorn.
How do you prove a black hole? How do you know those gravitational waves proved the collision of two black holes?
Somehow, eventually, they are able to observe phenomena.
No, they can't observe. It's too far away. It's too theoretical. How do we know what they're saying is true? You know what it really is? It's all science fiction.
And that is why former actor and celebrity William Shatner is my go-to source for scientific information. His bachelor degree in commerce guarantees he knows everything about astrophysics.
Is it possible that life exists on that planet that's only a shadow in a telescope? Those are the imaginative things that NASA are looking at that's every bit as passionately imaginative as science fiction.
Except, Mr. Shatner, the study of exoplanets involves far less imagining than you would think. It makes sense to believe this is the case when you don't know how the properties of an exoplanet are determined, but when you do, it begins to make a lot more sense. If you can determine where an object sits in its orbit in a solar system, you can determine how big it is, what it's likely made of, what the surface conditions are going to be, and a lot more. This isn't imagination, this is facts of physics here. If a planet is too far away from its star, there won't be any life as we know it. If it's too close, there won't be any life as we know it. If spectroscopy tells us we're looking at something without a solid surface like a gas giant, we can look at our own gas giants and compare its characteristics. So, sorry Captain Kirk, but you're wrong.
You've inspired so many people to enter the sciences. How do you balance science with science fiction?
They're both the same. The mystery of science fiction is what I'm talking about. Science and science fiction are essentially the same.
How do people still fall for this? Shatner said they're both the same as a quick answer to the question, the camera cut, and then he gave a long answer that we didn't hear and only heard him reiterate the point. Very choice editing, Russian.
Thank you very much.
Just like William Shatner just stated, science and science fiction are one and the same. And the whole concept, the whole idea of Nibiru and this supposed cataclysm that's going to take place in the future.
Now here a very interesting thing has happened. You might think that Russian has gotten confused, and that Nibiru is a concept that's actually supported by modern science. However, let's take a closer look. Let's compare Russian's screenshot of the Wikipedia article for Nibiru Cataclysm and compare it with the one that I can find. Do you see the difference? Now why would Russian do that? He seems to be showing an older version of the article that doesn't mention the scientific rejection of Nibiru in its preface. Is this a re-upload? What's going on here? Very interesting, Russian.
With Nancy Leiter, and that's what I want to get into, the play on names with these people that put these ideas in your head. Of course, they're connected to those behind the scenes. You know, as always, they love to mock, and the name, again, Leiter. Take away the D and you get liar. The whole idea of Nancy Leiter supposedly being abducted by these aliens from Zeta Reticuli and having an implant put in her brain. I mean, this is stuff of movies, and again, that's all it is.
Yes it is. It is the stuff of movies because Nancy Leiter is a fraud. She first came to attention during the comet Hale-Bopp's pass through the solar system in 1997. She claimed the comet didn't exist and that it was nothing more than a star. This is objectively pseudoscience babble. What I can't understand is why Russian is telling us this is fake when everybody knows it's fake. Except, oddly enough, for people like him who believe in bullshit conspiracies. It's almost like he found this article, saw it mention space, and without thinking any further, his conspiracy brain engaged and said, "Space is fake and anything involving space is therefore fake."
For those that follow my channel, you'll know we live on a flat earth. There is no deep space. All we have is inner space. And just take a look at Nancy Leiter. I believe a trans investigation is needed on this thing.
Skip.
Again, with a play on names and science fiction. And of course, as always, these people that make it on top of this world, they are occultists. With Lyman Spitzer Jr., again, play names with the Lyman. Okay, the whole idea, the whole concept of the Hubble telescope was from him. And of course, they supposedly have the Spitzer Space Telescope. You know, all it is basically nothing more than CGI, nothing more than a composite. But that's all you need to do. All the masses need to see is this phony, garbage, basic CGI composite photo, supposed photo or image. Nothing more than an artist's conception drawing.
CGI composite photo is not a coherent phrase, Russian. Anyways, yeah, nobody needs to see a satellite floating in space. Nobody wants to except you. And if you saw it, you'd say it's fake anyway. Seems like a bit of a waste of money to me, buddy. Also, no real photos of the Spitzer telescope, you say? Oops.
And that's all they need to know. That's all they need to see to believe in these lies. And an interesting backstory with Lyman Spitzer. He just so happened to attend Yale, where he graduated the Phi Beta Kappa in 1935 and was a member of Skull and Bones. What?
I really don't care what secret club Spitzer was in. What would be more interesting is a single shred of evidence that this secret club or any other secret club has any influence whatsoever on governments around the world. Just a shred, Russian.
What an amazing coincidence for all those coincidences out there that believe there are no conspiracies. Of course, all the connections with George Bush, John Kerry, and Skull and Bones. Okay, it's all about Freemasonry.
Except the Skull and Bones Society isn't connected to Freemasonry. It's just an alumni club for Yale graduates. That's it.
Take a look here at some of these photos. You see older Bush here. And of course, running back in 2004, John Kerry, George Bush. It just so happens two supposed graduates of Yale going against each other. Left versus right, Democrat versus Republican. Unbelievable how people can't connect all these simple pieces to put together. And they're just in love with the lie system. They can't step out. It's just much easier just to go with the flow, like all the rest of society, just believing the lies. And again, there are no supposed conspiracies.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Slow up, Russian. See, this is the problem with you Americans. Everything is a false dichotomy. It is not either there are no conspiracies or everything is a conspiracy. You can accept that some conspiracies exist while also realizing that others are ridiculous. The Earth is a globe and Epstein didn't kill himself.
Just like you have here, Jack Parsons. Move this over a bit. Of course, an occultist, a Thelemite occultist, basically, protege of Aleister Crowley and the Thelemic Society. I'll scroll down here. Here, of course, you see Werner von Braun, former Nazi.
Former Nazi who was constantly struggling with persecution from everyone else at NASA and the US government specifically because he was a former Nazi, but that's an inconvenient detail, isn't it?
Scroll down a bit more, there's Jack Parsons. Here, of course, is Aleister Crowley and the Thelema Society. It's pretty obvious. All the connections here with supposed space. I find it interesting with his name, with his original name, Marvel Parsons, like Marvel Comics as well. Just nothing more than fantasy.
Marvel Comics, which was founded in 1939 while Parsons was born, well, it's right there on the screen. And I'm not going to deny that Jack Parsons was a weirdo who was into some crazy occult shit. That's entirely true. But I also don't really care because magic isn't real. He can cast as many spells as he wants, and it won't affect my life worth a damn.
And basically what it all comes down to, these people behind rocketry, the goal was not to get into space. They can't get into space. The whole purpose behind the rocketry industry throughout the world is just getting a rocket that is capable enough to just basically get up in the sky and basically do its arch and land in the ocean. Nothing more than, again, as I stated many times, these rockets are nothing more than expensive fireworks.
Really expensive fireworks, apparently. Like millions of dollars each expensive, with crews of hundreds or more to design and assemble them. Seems like a huge waste for what is, in your mind, a fireworks display.
As I show many times, the supposed launch of these space shuttles by NASA. Yeah, like they're really going to space. Don't tell me this low Earth orbit garbage supposedly going around the ball Earth. Why doesn't anybody videotape the supposed space shuttle launches as they go around the low Earth orbit around the other side of the ball? They don't.
Because that's not a thing. Once the shuttle is in orbit, it's not launching anymore, you idiot. Fun fact, people have photographed it in orbit. Here's one. Here's another one. But yeah, I guess you saying basically and supposedly between every other word makes everything you're too stupid to comprehend a hoax.
This is all you see. Basically, again, they just crash in the ocean.
Except no one has ever found one in the ocean for some reason. Not a single final stage rocket has ever been recovered from the oceans. Not fucking one. Besides, if you have a better vantage point, say from a plane, you can see that it's not actually going back down. Have a look.
Incredible. Wow.
Still see it?
Yep,
Awesome.
it's in the camera. Look how fast that's going, man. Look how fast.
Are you getting it on video?
Yep.
Yeah, folks, space shuttle's going off the
video.
right side of the aircraft right now. Those of you on the right side of the aircraft, you can see the space
Wow.
shuttle. If you're on the left side of the aircraft, you can probably see people on the right side of the aircraft looking at the space shuttle.
Pan over real quick so I can get a full shot of the ground and everything.
There's very few people who've ever seen this one.
I know. Alright, well, I think that's good. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm still in awe.
Okay, you're going to believe these liars. Go ahead and do it. Look at that. Unbelievable. It's so easy to fool people. Especially this one here. Just look at this one. Going into space. It's not going into space.
I like how that last image literally ended with the rocket parallel to the ground, and Russian somehow thinks that's crashing.
It's just staying within the firmament. That's all it can do.
Firmament that no one has ever detected, sampled, or shown an image of. Skip.
Suppose if there was no firmament, how do rockets work without oxygen? Of course, they're going to give you these phony, baloney stories how they mix this compound with the jet fuel to give it oxygen to work in space. But it's all nothing more than science fiction.
Oh, you were so close to a self-debunk, and then you said jet fuel. Jet fuel is not involved in launching rockets at all. Rocket fuel varies depending on the use, but we're talking about liquid hydrogen, refined petroleum-1, hydrazine, stuff like that. Not jet fuel. Besides, basic laws of motion. Actions produce reactions. Rocket shits out fuel, is pushed in opposite direction. No air required. Oxidizers sure do help with ignition, though.
That's all it is. Just like this whole concept here. This is from one of my past videos. Jim Morrison's breaking through to the other side. Talk about how it's basically referring to the firmament. You see here this supposed space shuttle. Of course, they don't launch straight up. So they can't get past the firmament once again.
Oh boy, that's a reach. Yeah, the only thing you can conceivably ever break through is the firmament. Not a door, or a wall, or water, or a metaphorical cage created by mental health issues. Wait, sorry, Russian, I went too fast. A metaphor is this thing where you compare something to another in order to draw.
Again, Zachariah Sitchin. Okay, the whole idea of the 12th planet and Nibiru, Planet X, doing a Masonic handshake with Jordan Maxwell.
I don't give a single fuck what that con man did when he shook people's hands. Once again, Russian, you're acting like anyone except for your ilk gives people like Zachariah Sitchin any legitimacy, but we don't. Sitchin is a crackpot and everyone knows it except for you. Imagine, for a moment, imagine your entire life dedicated to pointing at things on the internet and calling them fake. Imagine having zero desire to ever learn about anything new in your life because everything is fake and you're trapped inside a snow globe that you'll drown in if the ceiling ever cracks. Imagine being as pathetic as Russian Vids. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications. If you want to support me further, consider becoming a member or a patron, or checking out my merch or my Amazon links. Thank you, and I will see you over the curve, Space Cowboys.
In a vast cosmic arena. Our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some